Greg and Richard right here on Talking Red.
Nottingham Forest come away from Turf Moor with a point when, with the chances they had, it possibly should have been 3. A good goalkeeping display by the home team's shot stopper and a moment of sloppy play in the Forest defence meant it was just a goal apiece. And whilst that frustrated many Reds fans, we are now mulling over what we have learned and what evidence we can see of Ange's principles and style of play being embedded in this Forest team. A step in the right direction or a missed opportunity to get back to winning ways? Welcome back to Talking Reds and Nottingham Forest podcast. I am your host, Greg Oram. Sadly, no Richard Spray with us tonight, but on the panel, we have the Texas Ranger, Bruce Johnston, and it's a huge welcome back on the channel to the creator of the rather splendid Forest data and stats website, the City Ground in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's Gary Cumberland.
Corner isn't totally dealt with. Williams hits it! And boy, did he hit it! 100 seconds into the game, and Nottingham Forest are out flying! Cross. Counter coming in, it might drop for Foster. Maybe for Anthony! Shane and Anthony beats Nottingham Forest again. 3-3 for him against Forest. And clearly back on.
Howdy, y'all. Good to see you, Brucey. How you doing over in Texas, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. And your howdy sounds really great now, by the way. Well done. Well done.
I'm working. I've been getting some grief, from you, Bruce. So I'm going to try and perfect it as much as I can. And Gary, great to see you back on Talking Reds. How have you been?
Great, thank you. It's good to be back on again. It's been a lot of going on since then. That's for sure. At Forest, if nowhere else, it's not a dull moment in the last 4 or 5 months.
Indeed, not a dull moment at all. For those of you that haven't visited Gary's fantastic website, it is called thecityground.com. It is a treasure trove of information on Nottingham Forest, their history, managers, players, scores, league positions, top 10 of this, and all kinds of fantastic information. So please do go and check out Gary's website, thecityground.com, updated literally within moments or hours of any and every Forest match that takes place. So it's bang up to date. A lot of hard work's gone into it. So it's a real treat for any Forest fan. Thecityground.com. All right. We're here to talk about the Burnley game that we all witnessed yesterday. Let's get straight into it with Brucey. Let's get your general thoughts and also what you thought about the team selection. We saw Douglas Luiz getting his first start, as well as Alexander Zinchenko and Delane Bakwa. So all three of those that impressed in the week v Swansea coming and getting first starts. Your thoughts on that and the general match as well?
So starting on the lineup, I was excited to see, especially those 3 players coming in, see what they can do in Ange's tactics or Ange ball, whatever we want to call it. So I was happy with the selection. Of course, Ndoye, Callum Hudson-Odoi, at this point, I think it's kind of a toss-up. I think, Callum obviously has earned his right to start, but I was interested in seeing what Ndoye could do on the left, given what he's done with his national team recently. So, seeing that come out, I wasn't upset. I was actually really excited. And of course, Bakwa, how he played versus Swansea. That was a player I was most eyeing. I'm sure a lot of people were talking about Douglas Luiz, seeing him out there finally, and after Swansea starting in a league match. But Bakwa to me was the guy to watch. Obviously, I'm sure we'll get to it eventually, but wasn't the standout player on the night, but did okay for his first Premier League start. Overall in the game, at least we got something from it. Could have been a lot worse. I'm sure, like I said, we'll go into that a little bit more later. But initial thought of the game was just general view. We looked good. I think, taking away the fact that Burnley's goalkeeper had a worldie of an evening, On any other day, at least one of those would go in that he saved. So all in all, I'm pretty content with that result.
Okay. What about you, Gary? Anything you want to add on sort of team selection? Any surprises for you? Any players you were happy to see get a start? And how did you see the game overall?
I agree with Bruce on how the game went. It was exciting to see the team put some good passes together. As far as the lineup, I was glad Zinchenko got another start. He started in midweek against Swansea. And Dan Adoy, I do like him. I think he offers a little bit of charisma, speed as well on the wing there. Still not quite sure how we're going to be doing up front. I mean, Wood is... he scored his goals last season. Still, yeah, he's not hit the ground running yet this season. But, yeah. Agreed with Bakwa. Excited to see him on the pitch, and maybe he didn't do everything yesterday, but Zinchenko was the one I think I was most keen to see. He's 28, I think now. We've got him on loan for a season, so might as well play him. Didn't have the greatest game, I feel, but I think after the midweek, we had to play a couple of those again, and I felt there was no real surprises in the team. But what we were doing on the field was a different matter altogether. So,
okay. I was quite happy with the team selection. I've got to be honest with you. It was important, I think, that Douglas Luiz came into the side. We saw his quality against Swansea, and all that. He hasn't played any football since he's joined us from Juventus, and we've all heard about how the year at Juventus went for him. So we were really hoping, or I was certainly hoping, that we were going to see the best of him in terms of perhaps the Douglas Luiz that we saw at Aston Villa. So him coming in for Sangare for me was something I wanted to see. I was very happy with that because as much as Sangare has had moments, I'm still not completely convinced on him being the starter. So I expect Douglas Luiz to be the starter in the main. I'm certain we'll see rotation. I'm certain that when Nicolas Dominguez comes back as well, that he will see Ange's play really well. So we'll see him getting starts too. And Zinchenko, for me, has to be the starting left back. Whilst we're on a man short in Ola Aina, it's got to be Williams and Zinchenko in those fullback positions. Having said that, we've got the European adventure to start on Wednesday, and I'm anticipating Zinchenko being added to the Europa squad to cover the injured Aina. So, with both of them maybe being asked to play Europa and then Premier, it may be too much of an overload. So we're going to have to see on that. Maybe we'll see Savona coming in, sharing the minutes. Be interesting to see what happens against Sunderland next week, and we'll perhaps touch on that towards the end. Maybe Savona will come into play in that respect. But all in all, in terms of the game, look, we saw some really good things happening. Dubravka had a great game in terms of making saves. I'm not sure that he made anything unbelievably spectacular. He made good saves, don't get me wrong. He was the reason why they got the draw. It was just frustrating. The Morgan Gibbs White chance at the death. Again, I just wanted to see him do better with that. The Chris Wood chance that we might talk about. I want to see Chris Wood putting that in the corner. I kind of felt like we made it too easy for Dubravka. But no, all in all, you think about Burnley, and you think about the kind of team they've been since they got relegated from the Premier League. The last team to beat them at their place was us until Liverpool the week before. So, albeit in the Championship, they have become very specialised at clean sheets and very hard to break down. And they were a much better organised Burnley team in this guise than what they were the last time they came up. Scott Parker set them up really well. And so I was thrilled to get us off the mark, Bruce. A minute in, it's Nico Williams thunder blasting it in. When that goal went in, did you think, right, that's it, we've got the early goal, we're going to push on?
Yeah. Right after that goal went in, I think I put in the group chat, the commentators over here said the last time Nico scored was when we won 7-0. So I wasn't expecting that, but I was like, okay, gates are open, Ange ball on, let's go. Obviously, we know what happened afterwards, but the goal itself is exciting. And anytime Nico scores, I'm a big fan of his, as I'm sure many people out there are. I love seeing him get his goal because the dude works so hard every game, good or bad, indifferent. He never gives up. He leaves it out on the field, and I love that. I love that in a player. So Kim getting that goal, and what a rocket too, man. I mean, he launched it. I couldn't even tell who it ricocheted off because obviously it hit something and went out. So I couldn't even tell it was hit so fast. I watched that replay.
It might have been Ndoye, possibly.
Okay.
I know if it was one of our players, I'm not sure, but I know that some players would try and claim that, but you can't take that goal off Nico Williams. I mean, that was his goal all over, wasn't it?
Oh, 100%. That was his goal. Yeah. But I even watched the replay twice this morning just to see if I could tell. No, I couldn't tell. Could not tell. No. But no, that's just how well it was hit. So good on him. It's very happy to start the game out like that.
And that set us off, I thought, Gary, for the first 20 minutes. Lots of Forest possession. Zinchenko doing, I mean, it's the buzzword, it seems, in football at the moment, inverting, where he's choosing to not overlap and not push up so much on the left flank, but he's immediately coming into the midfield area and almost operating as a 6, which allows your Douglas Luiz and your Anderson to push on. At times, I kind of felt like maybe Zinchenko was almost getting in Anderson's way a little bit. I kind of almost wanted Anderson there, perhaps, but, you know, we are an evolving team with Ange, but when he does like a wing back or a full back to invert. So Zinchenko ticks that box. What did you think about those first 20 minutes, though, Gary? Forest in control. That was the time to get the second goal, wasn't it?
It would have been good. I felt that first one. I mean, I agree with you, Bruce. I watched that 2 or 3 times and still not sure who it took the deflection off. I'm convinced it did take a deflection to get up that high in the net. But I mean, what a great start. And that, if nothing else, I felt that just took the pressure off. Knowing that Burnley have got to score twice now to beat us. So it was great to get the pressure off, but I felt the passing was good. There was a lot of fast passing. We found some space. The ball was being passed across the field. We were switching it well. I thought everybody played well. Zinchenko, I'm happy for him to feel that he's got the freedom to move around if that's what he needs. I see Oram at Man United saying he's sticking with his plan regardless. But if we can give some speed to some space to our players to be a little more creative, then I'm happy with that. And if that's Ange, then that's good. I don't feel we had that too much under Nuno. I mean, the stats for the last few games as well have shown that we've had more possession than we have for the whole of last season. I mean, even when we won 7-0, we didn't have any more possession than Brighton did. So it was good to see that we are finally getting a lot more possession and running the games a bit more. The passing, I think, is good. I think it'll be hopefully even better once the players just get used to each other a bit more.
I mean, it is still early days, isn't it? But one thing I noticed was the amount of Forest players that were operating in that top half. You know, we had sometimes 7 or 8 players that were in the kind of final third. And so that in itself was the immediate noticeable thing and the switch between how Nuno would set them up and how this team was being set up. If you are with us, please do say hello in the comments. I want to say hi to Gary Lamb. Another Gary's with us. He says he was happy in terms of the team selection, but Murillo would have made him very happy. Yes, we did miss Murillo, but if he's not fit, we don't play him. So please do get involved in the comments as well and let us know that you are here. Please do consider liking and subscribing. You can follow us on all the socials, X and Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, etc., etc. So it's kind of typical. Is it typical? Kind of feels typical to me that Forest are conceding at the moment. All those clean sheets last year, guys, with Matt Sells winning the Golden Glove and us becoming really kind of synonymous with tight defence, not leaking too many goals, building from the back. But we saw before even Ange came in that we were starting to leak more goals back into last season. Obviously, the 3-0 against West Ham was Nuno's last game in charge. So there seems to be a bit of a frailty and a fragility in that back line. And I'm worried about defensive frailties in the air as well, particularly. It feels like when the ball, Bruce, is coming into the box, our box, Sells isn't completely happy about coming off his line. We know that. Morato isn't great in the air for a 6'4", 6'5" lad. Especially when it comes to duels, we know that his duel record, winning duels, is poor. if he's going for a free header, okay, then he's generally going to head it away, unless he's playing at left back and he allows it to bounce, of course, which was another thing altogether. So what about you? Have you noticed anything? Are you worried at all about that defensive frailty? Because that's how their goal came about, isn't it? I mean, it was a real sloppy, messy ball into the box. Zinchenko gets beat, he comes down and gets tumbled in. It was just a mess, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the ball, it was an awkward ball. Let's just say that. I mean, it bounced around. Nobody really knew where it was going. Milikovic was obviously trying to find it and trying to cover somebody. Those things happen. I don't think that was because of bad defense or anything. It's just the ball. It was one of those loose balls that Jaden Anthony, who in fairness is starting off his this season very well. He's an informed player. So to Gary in the comments point, the only thing that I regret from the outside is Murillo not being there, because in the back of my head I'm thinking if he's there, he's stopping that shot. He's going behind cells. He's doing what he's done multiple times, and he's kicking that ball. He's clearing that ball. Zeke, that was sloppy.
It was weird, wasn't it? The way that he slipped. You just stab it away or make a kicking action towards the ball, and he just dragged it in with himself. I found it quite strange.
Yeah, he did, and I mean, I know why it wasn't given as our own goal. I mean, it was clearly going in anyways, but he kicked it right in the goal. I mean, he should get at least an assist for it. I don't know what he was doing. It was a sloppy play, but give him some slack. I know, we knew what we were getting with him. Not good in defense, good, good going forward, and that's what we saw. And on top of that, he hasn't had many minutes over the last season, over the last 12 months. So he's obviously getting his legs in, and that showed towards the end of the match with him. But again, we'll probably get into that later. So I'm not, it was an ugly goal to give up. I don't really see if you can fault anybody outside of Zeke's terrible defending at the end. But as far as leaking goals, I think that kind of goes with, trying to keep possession more and trying to be more advanced more. And I'll say this about Ange versus Nuno. Love Nuno, respect him. And funny enough, I told Rich the night before, the night that Nuno got sacked, and that broke in the States, at least around 6 p.m. I was like, man, I really hope it's not Ange. But, hindsight's always 20/20. If we're leaking goals, I'd rather have Ange as my manager, because, at least, we'll one or two of those back, hopefully back. So, again, I think that goes back to what we're trying to do, how we're trying to be more advanced, how we're trying to be more attacking. So that obviously that's leaving our defenders a little uncovered at the moment. And we're all trying to get used to that. They're all trying to. I'm not. I'm sitting at home on my couch watching them try to get used to it.
Sure. I mean, I noticed some lovely interchange, Gary. There was the backward chance, which was pass, being one touch pass around, and then kind of Morgan stabs it through to backward. First time hit. I mean, that was a great save from Dubravka, bottom right hand corner, turning it around. So you can see that the players and their kind of their ability to gel with each other and find each other, it's still evolving. It's still coming together. And even Milenkovic, I mean, this looks like pure Ange ball to me. He has the moment where he steps forward and he comes into the final third, and he's kind of weaving through the middle, and it's his kind of through ball into Wood that penetrates in the box for Wood to turn and shoot straight at the keeper. Last season, he's put in that bottom corner. So that's kind of where I was getting frustrated. Can you see that this will evolve in the way we want it to evolve, Gary, with Ange? I haven't had a chance to kind of really pick your brains on Ange. So give us your thoughts on him coming in as the new manager at Forest. Is he the kind of progressive manager that you wanted to see come in next after Nuno? We tried that defensiveness last year. We served as well, got us into Europe. But Ange is a completely different style. So are you happy with him coming in? And are you confident that his style of play is going to start to yield the rewards we want?
I think I am, yeah. Before we brought Cooper in, was it 4 years ago, I thought we were going to be in for Nuno then. So I was surprised Cooper came in. I would have accepted Nuno then, because I felt what he'd done to Wolves was tremendous. But I hindsight, Nuno wasn't the most exciting manager ever. He's following Cooper, obviously, who had the charisma, who had the fans completely behind him. I felt Nuno did great, but I think Ange, if we give him the space and the room, will do even greater. But I think there's the kicker. He's coming in after just 3 games of the season with a squad that he's never seen before. And he probably hasn't seen most of them play, on TV or even, I don't know. I felt like we're giving him a team and we're giving him a bunch of players, which is why Nuno left, because he didn't want the players coming in right when they did. I felt he wanted them in earlier, pre-season. Don't just give him a bunch of players. But Ange is in that situation, so maybe it's easier for Ange. The pressure isn't on him. He hasn't just picked up a bunch of players that have been given to him. He's come in and he knows what the lay of the land is. So I have confidence in him. Already seeing the way the team can play. I mean, that first game when we beat Brentford 3-1, the passing, the speed, it seemed like a joyful game, that first game. Then in came the new players, Nuno getting frustrated with that. I think that took us off the ball more than anything else. I hope when these players get settled, and I see that we've already played 25 players this season, which surprised me, but obviously a whole bunch of them came in for the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, that's including the Carabao Cup, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I took a look. We played 26 players last season. We've already played 25, but because of the Cup game, yeah. I think we've just got to find it's not even a first 11 anymore. It's I think the choice of the squad. Everybody's had a game except for Awani right now. And he's a person I just can't seem to place in the team, unfortunately. He seems to have lost the spark that he had 2 or 3 seasons ago. It's up to Ange to get them out. So, yes, I'm confident. I think Ange will do it. You remember Kevin Keegan from all those years ago when he was at Newcastle saying that, he'd be happy as long as they scored more goals than they conceded, he was happy. If they scored 4 and they let 3 in, that didn't go down too well. They only didn't last too long at Newcastle after that.
Well, Ozzy Ardiles, when he was at Spurs, was very similar. And I think actually it was Puskás when he was in charge at South Melbourne, and a young Ange Postecoglou was one of his very young players. That was a Puskás philosophy as well. As long as we score more goals than the opposition and we win 6-4, 6-5, I'm happy. So, it doesn't do much for your heart rate when, last year I felt a lot more confident and a lot more comfortable watching Forest because I knew what we were getting under Nuno. I knew that, Murillo and Milenkovic seemed impenetrable, and Aina and Williams would just evolve so well that we just had this fierce backline, and Sells evolved into the best keeper we've ever seen almost. So it was great. But this year, even like you say, we saw a definite change, didn't we, against Brentford? And the way we played and how we dismantled Brentford, it was one of the best Forest performances I've seen for a long, long time. And I thought, here we go, rubbing my hands together. At that point, none of us knew what was to come, really. It was all a complete surprise that we were going to lose Nuno. He was supposed to be our manager this season. He'd signed a new contract in the summer. So there was really no kind of, offing or kind of inclination that it was all going to be over for him. So now, we are where we are and we have to kind of regroup. And to use that many players, possibly on the face of it, seems, quite something. But I guess, like I say, you take into account the Carabao Cup, you make 10 changes and that kind of skews the stat a little bit. But back to the Premier League, one player that has, I don't think, divided opinion, but he certainly had moments of being really good, and he's had moments where he seems to have struggled a bit or maybe been off the ball, and that's Dan Ndoye, Bruce. So he's on the left, and I think he seems to play best on the left. So he comes in for Callum Hudson-Odoi, and they're going to have a tussle maybe with that position. And all of our wingers should be having a tussle for positions. That's what we really, really want. But he's coming in on the left-hand side, and he's going up against Kyle Walker. So that was the battle that I had my eye on. How did you see Dan Ndoye against Kyle Walker yesterday?
Oh, well, to sum up, Kyle Walker won. No, Ndoye, I mean, he's had his moments. He has a goal, he has an assist. And those were amazing. I mean, the assist was amazing. The header was spot on, great header. But last night he was almost taken out of the entire game by Kyle Walker. and Kyle Walker lost his legs 2 years ago. So that was a little disappointed. Although I'll say I man some credit, he was keeping up with Roy. So obviously he's got a little bit left, but yeah, I was expecting more out of him, to say the least. And to be frank, Nadoy's been poor at points, average at most, and of course he has his moments of greatness. So he has it in him, but through a full, I don't know if he's made it a full 90 yet, has he? I don't think so.
No, I don't mind that. I mean, we've got to accept that there's going to be the finishes that are coming on, and the wing positions.
Yeah,
is one of those areas.
I'm not bashing him for.
I just wanted him to take Kyle Walker on.
Off on 90. Yeah. He seems to be a little frail. He gets bullied, and he's already been bullied. Yeah. And Kyle Walker's a big dude, so obviously he was pushing him around a little bit. But yeah, it was disappointing. I mean, again, hindsight's always 20/20. Maybe we should have gone with Callum to start the match, but doesn't change the fact I was excited to see it. But
I thought Walker was probably their best player. I think, you know what, he's past his best. We know he's past his best, but I thought he played well yesterday. He did a very good job as a right back. You know what I mean by that is he defended well. Dan Ndoye can be tricky, but I think he maybe felt intimidated, or it looked a little bit like he liked that. You know, I wanted him to take Walker on. And
he did well against Callum too. I mean, when he came in, he was still on.
Sure.
I mean, Callum had his signature shot towards the end of the game, and Kyle Walker was all over it. He was smothering him. He blocked it, so yeah, he had a great game last night. I'd still say their keeper was better, but
sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess the best player maybe on the outfield guys. I mean, their keeper obviously was the one that kept them in it. I want to say hi to Scott in the comments. Scott is morning for Scott in Australia. So a regular on Talking Reds, and David is with us. The FFTV monk, he wants to let us know that he's here as well, and good to have you with us in the comments as well. So the half goes on. Let's take ourselves up to half time, and I kind of got frustrated, Gary, because it felt like, you know, after they scored the equaliser, we had moments still to get back in front, but then it felt like Burnley kind of took the upper hand. They had that free kick that rattled against the bar, and in that moment, I thought, here we go again. You know, they're having strong moments that are just going to kind of galvanise them a little bit. How were you feeling at half time yesterday?
I was glad that we got our goal, but by half time, again, I felt we were right back in familiar territory. You know, we let a goal in, a sloppy goal in, you got to say. I think Chenko gave it away on the left there, and by the time he'd chased back, like Brucey said, and I tripped over it on the line there. I was not worried. I felt we had another goal in us, but at the same time, I mean, you're talking about Burnley. Look, they lasted 90 minutes against Liverpool. They lasted 90 minutes against Manchester United, and they've also played Spurs this season. But looking at the table, I'm still surprised they were a spot behind us. You know, as good as they can play, they've just let those last-minute goals in. So I kind of had a bit of hope there. You know, they also might just switch off towards the end like we have the last few games. But confident enough. I mean, the way we'd passed it around, if we could just have a good solid talk from Ange at halftime, we could have turned that around.
So you are listening to myself and Bruce and Gary chatting about the Burnley match for Nottingham Forest. We'll be back after this.
The Cheese Trader, based on Grape Lane in York, is a cheese lover's paradise. Home to some wonderful specialty cheeses, relishes and chutneys, and also with a fantastic street food menu. Try their loaded fries or posh cheese on toast. It'll be the best you've ever had. Owned by Forest fan Stu Freestone, the Cheese Trader proudly sponsors Talking Reds. Quote Talking Reds every time to get 10% off your order. The Cheese Trader and Talking Reds, the perfect cheesy mix.
Stu Freestone, our friend, the Cheese Trader, sponsor of Talking Reds. Visit York. It's a lovely, lovely city to visit, and you can get 10% off at the Cheese Trader every time you quote Talking Reds, and that includes online as well. All right, so the second half starts. It was all Burnley for the first 15 minutes at least, I thought, and you know they got off really quickly. I thought they were going to score, Bruce, within the first minute or two. In fact, they could have scored 3 goals in the same passage of play, it seemed, we just weren't clearing it. Morato didn't want to just hoof the ball away. And sometimes it feels to me like just get your foot on it and get it clear. And they were kind of fart-arsing around a little bit with it. And that's my worry with Forest. But that's been my worry with Forest, no matter who is in the 11, no matter who's the manager. It just feels like it's ingrained in us over the years to just kind of have that shoot ourselves in the foot moment that pops up. And we, whilst we kind of had a season of riding high, if you like, and finishing 7th and getting into Europe, there were still those in that season, the shoot ourselves in the foot moments, which saw us fall out of the top 4, not get Champions League, and fall away towards the end of the season. It's kind of carried over a little bit with a poorish pre-season, and we can get into an argument or discussion as to why that was. But it's now under Ange a case of them learning how they want him to set them up. But that still first 15 minutes felt like they were just a little bit disorganised and just a little bit kind of out of sorts. And it just goes to show that in the Premier League, there aren't any easy games. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but these 3 teams that have come up, Burnley, Leeds and Sunderland, they look the best equipped as a 3 to stay up. I mean, the last time it happened, rather, when all 3 stayed up was when we came up with Bournemouth and with Fulham. And since then, I think every team has gone back down again. So it does feel like there's been a change in maybe approach and mentality. The second half, I mean, take yourself back to yesterday. How are you feeling after the sort of first 15, 20 minutes or so? Did you think we might even go on to lose the game?
Yeah, well, right now, yeah, because I'm not really too confident in how we're performing. But luckily, I came back to the game a little late. The game had already gone on, so I didn't see that we almost conceded a goal right off the bat. So luckily, my opinion at first was a little jaded on that. I did watch it back though. I saw the chances, and terrible defending. We got lucky, but sometimes better lucky than good. So, but after that, I felt like we grew into the game quite well, and thought we looked like the better team in the second half. And again, go back to the fact that I don't know how we didn't score a second goal, but we didn't. But yeah, I'm very fortunate to start the second half and not concede a goal. So we kind of got lucky there.
And it was about those changes, Gary. I think as soon as you made the changes, it felt like we kind of went through another gear again and got ourselves back onto a better footing. And it goes to show that the depth is important, and the changes and the players you can bring on were or are as good as they are. What are your thoughts on Igor Jesus and what you've seen of him? Because I thought yesterday, again, that header, brilliant header that Dubravka saved. He looks like he might be competing very strongly to take the shirt off Chris Wood.
I agree with that. I was going to say that myself after, he got the 2 goals in midweek, and obviously one was a tap in, but I felt the build up to that goal was exactly how we should have been playing. Mm-hmm. The fact that it was a pass back from the goal line to him, for him to tap it in, just showed that the team was gelling well together. He didn't come on to the 75th minute, or late anyway. I don't think he only got 10, 15 minutes, I think, yesterday. I was surprised they only made 1 change on the hour. But again, it did move up a tier, move up a gear once we brought the subs on. And I'd like to see a little bit more of Igor as well. I think he's shown that he's someone that I think I can be excited about. I like the look of him so far. We're bringing on Hudson-Odoi as well on the hour, and he's a proven person. But I'm also glad to see Calmuendo get a start, 15 minutes himself as well.
Put onto the wing though, and kind of leads me to my next point, Gary. Is just sticking with you. I mean, what are your thoughts on Omari Hutchinson? Because he hasn't been put into the Europa squad. And there's Calmuendo getting brought on, who is really a player that plays down the middle. He can play out wide. We know that, which is why he went there. But I kind of felt like I wanted to see Omari Hutchinson come on. I felt that he did pretty well against Swansea. He was involved in both goals. You touched on, it's him that looked up and made that short but very simple pass back to Igor for his tap-in goal. But ultimately, the first goal was him cutting in and shooting with his right foot, which the keeper saves. So I kind of want to see more of Hutchinson. What's your thoughts on him?
I'd like to see a lot more of him. Yeah, I would do. I think he's a homegrown talent. It'd be good to see him sticking around with us for a little while. Same thing with probably McAtee as well. But he's an attacking midfielder, Hutchinson. So I think I'd be happy to see how he could fit in with the rest of the team. The fact that we were coming forward a lot more might just suit his play.
I mean, McAtee's, for me, a very good player. Gibbs White, has he worried you at any point, Gary, this season with how he's playing? Because he does seem like he's gone off the boil. A lot of fans are getting very upset, thinking maybe his head was turned and didn't get turned back after the Spurs thing.
I was going to say exactly the same thing, that, he was this close to Spurs. Maybe he had the medical, but then Marinakis turned it around, and I thought, great, this is exactly what we need from an owner. Gibbs White has been a great, great player for us, probably our best buy in the last 3 or 4 years. To see him wanting to stay with us and sign an extension on the contract for another year, wonderful. But then it all goes a little sour straight after that. And maybe I think it's got in his head as well. Maybe he would have been better off at Spurs. That's what's going through my mind with him right now. I don't know what
I want to see him. Yeah, I want to see him really settle down. I mean, he just had another child, and I know that he and his partner, I mean, I don't know, but from what I can see, they do seem very settled in the Nottingham area. And I think that is a huge thing as well. So I'm hoping that his form is literally just more of a tie-in with how the team as a whole have kind of been transitioning across to Ange. We've talked about the difference in styles between Nuno and Ange in terms of what you see on the pitch. But I think there's also, Bruce, a difference in terms of personality, in terms of what you get from them off the pitch as well. Clearly, I don't know either guy, but they were very close to Nuno. We saw moments and flashes of him on Einer's back and dancing with Willy Bolly in the changing room. So you can see he's a guy that can have fun. But Ange, again, we know that the Spurs players absolutely adored him and the Celtic players absolutely adored him. He puts them first. So, difference in styles, difference in personalities as well. Are you concerned at all about any of the players possibly feeling marginalised? I guess I'm talking about Hutchinson a little bit. Awoniyi as well, although Awoniyi really should have been allowed to leave in the window. I know that he got added into the squad because of the injury to Aina. And if I'm honest with you, I kind of felt that was a bit unfair. I felt like he should have been allowed to leave because we don't need him. He's not going to be used. So, again, I wonder how his head is. And I'm kind of, again, maybe just kind of thinking about these players from the human side. A lot of fans perhaps wouldn't give a damn. They'll say, well, look, they're paid handsomely. They should be there to be called upon as in when we want to call upon them. And that's that. But, I mean, are you worried about any of them kind of like feeling a bit marginalised and out of sorts?
Maybe some of the, we have a lot of young players. So, let me restate that. It's maybe some of the immature players. Amari Hutchinson would probably fall in that category. So, yeah, we probably need to get him on the pitch. Didn't think about that until you mentioned it earlier, actually. He's obviously not in the Europa squad unless something changed that I didn't see. So that's not seeing him today in a league play rather than, some other guys that we'll see on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday on First Vetus? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesday, yeah. So didn't think about that, but now that you stated it, maybe it's a little weird, but I'll kind of withhold my opinion on Hutchinson right now, but he did look good against Swansea. But yeah, no, that's always a concern. When you have a big squad, you have to manage the ego, right? If these guys, if you're not giving them minutes, you have to give them a good reason. It's just part of man management. Obviously, Ange being at Spurs would hopefully be familiar with that. And if the Spurs players loved him, then obviously he was, right? You don't get up to that level without having some form of fashion man management. Carlos would be a great example. When he was at Madrid, not this last time, but the time before that, he spoke a few times about how, making sure people are in the squad know why they're playing, why they're not playing, and explaining it up front. So obviously these managers know how to handle that. As long as they build that trust and they give them an outlook on what to do and how to do it, and they do it, then that's how you keep them happy, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and I guess a player doesn't get into a squad these days without knowing exactly what a squad is. They're not going to play every game. It's not a first 11 anymore. It depends who we're playing against. And I think they've got to understand rotation.
100%, and it is a long season. We are still only 5 games into the Premier League season as well, which I'm going to touch on in detail a bit now as well. Steve Battlematch, who comes on as a contributor, is in the comments. He says, just dropped in to say hi. He's currently getting tied up preparing for the trip to Seville. He's not staying long. He wants to urge patience in our fan base as we face the next few weeks. He says, keep the faith. And that's led me nicely on to talking about, as we leave the game, we come away from Turf Moor with a 1-1 draw. We take a point on the road, and quite often you say, look, if we can grab a point on the road, that really is the most important thing. Win your home games, get a point on the road or better, and you'll be fine. It feels to me like we are moving towards, at best, I don't know what you guys think, at best a 10th place finish, at best. And probably actually maybe more like 11th, 12th or 13th. A point away at Burnley is kind of going to add up to a points tally that gets you to that kind of league position. And I wonder what you guys think about that. And if you're happy with that following last season, or do you need it to include a Europa League semi-final or final or even winning it for you to be happy? Because I want to put up the league table. I'll bring you guys in just a second, I promise. But there's the Premier League table. All right. So for those of you that can see it on the screen, you'll see Forest sitting in 15th, which doesn't sound great because last year I was looking at the top half all the time. Burnley are just below us on 4 points. Brentford, who I tipped to go down, on 4 points. Villa having a stinker of a start. I mean, they struggled so much today against Sunderland. Sunderland down to 10 men. Sunderland looking good, and we play them next. That's the thing that I'm thinking about as well at the moment. And then, of course, West Ham, who we really shouldn't have allowed to beat us. I think they're going to sack Graham Potter. Wolves have lost every game. And they've just given their manager a new contract, which I just find baffling. So I guess below us, there's lots going on, but it's also in and around us. When you look slightly above us, guys, you've got Brighton on the same points. Newcastle really kind of struggling in the league to kind of get a foothold into any kind of form, drawing 0-0 today. And then you got Leeds, one of those newly promoted teams in 12th. Man United, who think they are now back to being Man United after a weird game against Chelsea yesterday with players getting sent off left, right and centre. And so on. I won't go through the whole table, but even Man City currently still down in 9th on 7 points. It's still very tight. And so I urge also fans that are feeling a little bit disgruntled, feeling a little bit worried, feeling a little bit like, oh my God, the season's a disaster. We are just 5 games into it. We've gone through a lot already in this first few weeks of the season with the Nuno thing, with the Ange coming in, with the amount of players we've signed and with the integration. The blip against Swansea didn't help. And of course, Gary, you were the one in our podcast prediction that said, yeah, I think it's going to, we will ask everyone to guess how far we're going to Carabao. And of course, I've gone, yeah, we're going to go to the final. And others go, yeah, we're going to win it. And Gary says, no, it ends tonight. I'm like, are you for real? And we go 2-0 up, and then Gary drops into the WhatsApp. Oh, yeah, that's not going too bad. Maybe I got that wrong. And of course, by the end, Gary's bang on at 3-2. So you're the man with the crystal ball at the moment, Gary. But I think basically, look, what I'm trying to say is let's not get too despondent. So back to you guys. Bruce, are you happy with Forest following up last season with something like a 13th place finish this season? Or do you need to have a trophy or a good cup run to kind of make you feel better?
No, I'm a Forest fan. Obviously, I don't need a trophy to make me feel better. But I have a general rule, is I don't look at the table until week 10. To me, this is all, it's going to change very drastically. I have a friend who's a big City fan who's losing his mind because they're ninth and, was just convinced that Arsenal was going to smash them today 3-0. So, misery loves company. So we've been talking a lot lately. So, yeah, Where we're at now, I'm not too concerned with it. I'm obviously very concerned with our form at the moment. I lost my head after the Swansea game. I still owe a few people a few apologies, but I was absolutely livid, and I don't care what competition. We should be beating the Swansea. So yeah, there's some concern, but it doesn't mean I'm not confident we're gonna bounce back and level. To your question, if we finish 10th, am I happy with that? Well, considering where we've been outside of last season, yeah, absolutely. I just want us to be competitive. I want us to keep growing, keep building, and establish ourselves, where we belong, in my opinion, which is in the top half of the Premier League table. And I think we are making steps to do that. And as long as we keep making those steps and keep making progress, I will be happy. But no, I'm not concerned where we're at. I'm not concerned at all.
Okay. What about you, Gary? I mean, is it still consideration for Forest in the Premier League? And would you take 17th place and winning the Europa League right now?
No, I don't think I would do. I mean, that was Spurs last season, and
really, you really wouldn't.
I want us to win the Europa League, but I don't want us to finish 17th place in the league. No.
But if the footballing god said, I'm going to give you the Europa League trophy, right, you're going to win that, but you finish 17th, you still wouldn't take it.
I mean, look what happened to Ange last year, 2 weeks after he did do that.
Yeah, but I'm not so much worried about the manager, whoever that may be, whether it's Ange or someone else. I guess the reason why I sound surprised is because for me, it's a complete no-brainer. I mean, if we preserve our Premier League status for another season, and we get a European trophy, and it's a big one, and it means we play Champions League football next season, and we get the chance to roll the dice with a different manager, let's say, I'm biting your balls off all day long.
I still focus on the league, honestly. I think the league, cliche, but that's our bread and butter. And the fact that, I mean, look at the table there. If we say, like Bruce said, I completely agree with you. We should be higher. That's where we should be. Villa are going to say exactly the same thing, and so are Leeds, and even Brighton after the last few years. Certainly Newcastle want to be up there, and Man United, but we're only 3 points off, fourth place, I think, right now.
Right.
So
I think
West Ham.
It seems
West
like
Ham was a glitch. It was a horrible, horrible loss to West Ham. That's the only points they've got this season. I'm happy to put that down to a glitch, and just hope we can focus on the league. I really do. Spurs played Man U in the final last year, the Europa League, and they were 15th and 16th respectively. I think it was a surprise, and that was, I think, more of the commentary was about that, about who eventually won it. So I don't want us to be at the bottom. And
no, I don't want us to be at the bottom either. I just kind of feel like Forest, we are in a completely different space to Man United that have never been relegated for a long, long, long time, and multiple serial Premier League winners, etc., and also Spurs that have, been in the Premier League and recently challenging for top four. So I kind of feel like their headspace is a lot different to a Forest who have been in the Championship for 23 years and have had that reality check. And whilst being back in the Premier League is what it's all about, and we've done really well to stay in the Premier League. And, it was tough under Cooper in the first season, but he kept us up. And then we've gone from strength to strength. Yes, I want to consolidate and I want to be a top 10 team, but I kind of also have to say that I think if you're going to be fighting on different fronts, sometimes something's got to give for a club of our size at the moment. And so therefore, I wouldn't take getting relegated from the Premier League to win the Europa, but I would take anything else and the Europa, because I think we're so desperate and craving a trophy ourselves. It's a long time since we won something as well. And I think that's what football's all about to me. It's all about lifting a trophy. It's great to be in the Premier. It's great to finish and have nice games and win 7-0. But for me, it's about lifting a trophy and having those moments in your history. And we still look back now on the European Cups being lifted and the League Cups being lifted. And that's our history right there. So for me, to lift the Europa League would be such a monumental moment. And Steve is in the comments saying it's a pinch me moment to think about that we're about to start a European campaign just 4 years after we appointed Steve Cooper. And that's the perspective I want you guys to think about. Jamie Martin, friend of Talking Reds on X, says, look, 4 years ago today, Steve Cooper became the Nottingham Forest manager. Forever a legend. He is forever a legend because his achievement wasn't just getting us up, it was keeping us up. He's now at Bromby. We hope he smashes it. So, Gary, I kind of interrupted you because I kind of felt so passionate about to say, look, surely you'd want that trophy as a one-off. I'm not saying that I want to finish 17th every year, but as a one-off season, I can take a punch to the face of 17th if I've got a trophy in my hand.
I get that. I think it's the one-off that I how can I put this? Like, we didn't just win the European Cup once; we won it twice. You know, we won the League Cup. We were in the League Cup final 3 times then.
But the 17th place finish is a one-off. I'm talking about. I'm not about as a one-off European.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying a one-off of if it's a one-off that we finish 17th, but we get the trophy. I'll take that. I want to win lots of trophies. I want to win lots of trophies.
The 17th is a one-off, then yes.
The 17th is a one-off.
Because I look at Brighton, who've been, consistently top half the last few years. I think their fans are probably more confident about a season than maybe we are after 3 seasons of scraping survival. But I will honestly, if the 17th is a one-off, then yes, I think it'll do us good. I just wish Cooper was there to lift it for us.
So I'll come to you, Bruce, in a moment. That's an interesting comment. I mean, Steve Cooper massively still divides some people. I mean, and I don't quite get it because he's the guy that got us up with the help of Mr. Marinakis and the investment and everything else. But it was Cooper 4 years ago, took over from Chris Hughton. We're rock bottom of the Championship, and we all know what happened thereafter. And I've said it time again. I think his bigger achievement was keeping us up in the first season because how goddamn hard it is to stay up. It sounds like you still got a lot of
20 new players as well. Yes,
exactly. It sounds like you still got a lot of affection for Steve Cooper, Gary.
I do. I felt he just hit the right charisma. Have we had that since Cloughie? I think he just he just got it just right. Billy Davis was a favorite 15 years ago. I felt Cooper had it. I felt he gave us excitement. I felt that he did a great job for us. And to him, yes, like you say, we were bottom when he took over. I think we were, weren't we? Yeah, because Derby. We weren't, because right before he took over, Derby got point deducted. So I think we were second bottom when he took over.
Yeah, maybe there or there.
Either way.
Either way. We hadn't. I think we might have had a point or something like that, but it wasn't good, was it? It wasn't good.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Okay. Bruce, Europa League starts on Wednesday, and Steve's flying out. Paul Morley, Raf, the random pundit, they're flying out. Lots of people flying out. It's the start of an adventure. Are you worried at all going into our first game away? I mean, really probably our toughest game away at Betis is probably our, on paper, toughest game. Having seen what you've seen, knowing what you know about everything we've been talking about, with Ange coming in and the players, we've seen green shoots, haven't we? Green shoots at Swansea. We should have scored 7 or 8. Green shoots yesterday, greener, in fact, with some really good chances on goal against the keeper that's in top form. So going forward, we have it. But Real Betis are one of the best counter-attacking teams in Europe at the moment on paper. How confident are you going into Wednesday that we can come away with something?
I'm always worried before a Forest game, by the way. It doesn't matter who we're playing. I always have a certain amount of nerves. No, yeah, of course I'm nervous. I don't know what to expect. Hold on, I'm getting busted in on. But no, I mean, ultimately, I'm excited, really. I mean, this game to me is obviously I want us to win, at least get a point from. And now, as far as Ange in Europa last season, he did play a little more defensive. He did so that he kept a couple of clean sheets towards the end. He was a little more pragmatic. Yeah. Eventually, I said towards the end. I did preface that.
You did. You did. I was underlining that a little bit. It was eventually, wasn't it?
It was. So it's going to be interesting to see how he sets up, considering with especially with in out and. So yeah, I'm more excited. I really don't know what to expect, to be frank. I don't really follow any other league anyway, so I don't know much about Betis. So to me, it's just more exciting. We're in the Europa League, like Steve just said. It hasn't fully sank in, and probably won't until I sit down and watch the game. But I'm just excited. I don't care what happens. I'm just excited to watch.
Yeah, me too. I'm super excited. Gary, how are you feeling about the European adventure? You're going to have another column on your fantastic website to create and fill out Forest's journey into the Europa League for the first time. Oh, you've left yourself on mute there, buddy, just for a moment.
I'm super excited about this, honestly. I think this is a chance for us to see how we fare against other countries right now. I know we scraped into this league, and I'm glad we did. Sorry for Palace, but I'd rather we be here than the league below. I'm very, very excited. I really do want to see how we can hold ourselves against European competition. And the fact that we get guaranteed so many games is that's the most exciting part for me. I think we're guaranteed 8 games. Is that right? So
that's right. Yep.
It's not out after a 2-legged affair anymore. I want to see us do well. Villa gave me confidence last year that English teams can do well against the odds. I just genuinely and
Spurs and Man United got to the final.
Yes,
in this competition.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm excited. I mean, I'm not currently booked to go away to any of the away games, but I have got my ticket for FC Midtjylland at the City Ground on the 2nd of October. So I will be in attendance at Forest's first game under the lights in Europe for something like 30 years or so. So I can't wait. I mean, it's so exciting to get a chance to go. And one thing, there are still tickets available, which is bonkers to me. That whether because it's a Thursday night and that maybe hamstrings everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people from going, I don't know. But there are still some tickets available. So, make the effort. This is what we've been crying out for, Forest fans. And there's these guys that are in the States that would, do anything. I'd imagine to be at a game in Europe. And it's so far away for you guys. But so if you're in the UK and you're in the Nottingham area and you're toying or wondering about going, please go and buy. There's a few left. Go and buy a ticket.
My nephew Tom's just bought his tickets for all the home games, and that's exactly what. I mean, it shouldn't be a one-off. You should be buying tickets for all 4 of the home games. I feel that's what the club needs, and if we're looking to get an extra 10,000 seats in the ground, this is you got to vote with your feet. You got to go.
Well, this is it. I mean, that's what people are saying. If we can't fill out the home Europa game with the current capacity, why are we getting 10,000 extra? So that's a whole nother podcast with Matt Druitt and the architect and talking about that. But we are out of time tonight, guys. If you are with us still, we thank you for joining us. Jubba had jumped in. He says, evening, lads. After yesterday's great performance, super excited for both League and Europa, hoping that Murillo is back so he can hit the 70-yard passes and so on and so on. Please do go ahead and hit like and subscribe. It really helps us if you will push the button in the right place. We are part of the Sports Podcast Network as well. So you can find us now on Apple and Spotify, also Amazon and also Pocket Casts, as well as 1 or 2 others, I think, as well. So we're trying to branch out and reach as many Forest fans all over the world as possible. These 2 fantastic chaps are based in the States. Brucey in Texas. I'm going to give you 30 seconds for some closing thoughts.
Yeah, as Steve said, it's been 4 years since Steve Cooper was appointed, and listen, what a journey that was, right? That's starting from bottom and keeping us in the Premier League. The guy's an absolute legend, love him to death, and to me, that was the stepping stone of where we're at now, and just hoping that we can keep progressing on that. Outside of that, no, nothing to add. Appreciate you guys having me on. Gary, it was great meeting you, buddy.
Awesome.
Thanks, Bruce. You too.
Over to you, Gary. Anything you want to close with?
Again, super excited. I'm glad you had me on a few days before another European adventure. That's great. Looking at some stats, I see a lot of people beating up on Ange right now. You just need to hold on. It's been 3 games. Good. Just hold on, everybody. I would like to point out that Brian Clough won his first 2 games and then did not get a win for the next 15 games in charge of us. To put it in perspective, different times, but It's a good stat to remember.
It is. It's a great stat, Gary. Thank you both, Brucey, Gary, for joining us. Pair of legends. Bobby Franco says, looking forward to Wednesday, taking the afternoon off to watch. Bobby is also in Dallas or North Dallas or thereabouts, I think. So I've linked you up with Brucey already. Hope you two guys can connect at some point soon. And I'm going to close with this one. So you Reds on X put out a tweet, and we've nicked it and we've put it up, and it says, for our fans that hate Ange and love Iraola, you know that he had a full pre-season with Bournemouth, and it took him 10 games to win his first Premier League game. And even Glasner won just one of his first 5 games at Palace, then got the hang of his system and took 9 Premier League games to get their first win last season. So it is all about perspective. It is all about patience. It is all about remembering that Ange has only been through the door a matter of days. 3 games in, we're going to Europe on Wednesday night. He won that competition last season. Is it going to be our turn this?
Come join Greg and Richard right here on Talking Red.